wherever you call home, we are there. In favorite places, large spaces, for many homes, we have coverage that fits the way you live. And with our home systems protection, you can cover major home appliances and more. We cover more type of homes than ever. Get the coverage you and your family deserves. For a free no obligation quote, visit us online or simply give us a call.
Back at you and gloves off. I'm here with a great friend, one I call a brother, a martial artist, Grandmaster Peter Freedman. We're just going to touch base on martial arts in general, what one should be looking for to go train. How we doing, my brother? You doing good?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
It's good
And
you
you
grew
know,
your beard back. You look like a real Viking now.
and what was I going to say? Um, Glad to see you. I see you on videos here and there, and I'm like, okay, good. It's good that
Yeah,
you're still out there and still pushing forward and teaching people how to take care of themselves. And let me tell you a little incident happened on Friday.
sure.
You know my wife, and you know
Yep.
what she's capable of.
Oh
Especially,
yeah.
she's very good in the art that she does, which is capoeira. And you know, one of the highest ranked professoras in Brazil, and she's very good. You well know that. Well, she
Yeah.
was walking. She was walking by herself, and she came in here kind of nervous. This happened Friday about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and she says that this guy on the bike, dressed in black, with a baseball cap and a hoodie on and a mask, stopped in the street and starts filming her. And she looks around. The guy goes back the direction he was coming from,
Yeah.
stops at the corner, and starts filming her again. So she kept on walking. And lo and behold, when she reaches the corner, the guy goes to the opposite corner and starts filming her. So she hightailed it to the house. And, you know, I called the police, I called the sheriffs to let them know what's going on. And I went out there to take a look, see if we could find this individual. And so that's the topic that I want to kind of take off on.
Yeah.
People need to understand that the number one thing in self defense or defending yourself is awareness. And just some schools don't teach that. And that's what I want to get to. And I want to get to the people out there because you've been around for a very long time and you've come up in the hard streets like us and you know what it is and you know what's real and what's not. And you, like me, like others, can look at a school and say, this is a school that teaches, and this is a school that just takes money.
Yeah.
People should, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, in our business, it's we have those that walk the walk, and those that just don't. So, without being offensive to anybody else out there, that's just the way it is. Um, what's your takes? Let's take how would you tell somebody what to look for?
Well, it first I when I interview people, I don't teach everybody. I look for
Yeah.
certain people that I want to teach. So it doesn't matter if they want to train with me. I have to want to teach them. I'm looking for people that are serious, that are looking how to protect their family and themselves, and maybe their country. Who knows today?
Mhm.
But I always ask people in the beginning, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a sport? You're looking for an art? You're looking just to get together and meet people, hang out and shoot the breeze. You're looking for hand-to-hand combat. You're looking for self-defense. And I try to pick their brain. You're looking to get into good physical shape. It depends on what they want. The conditioning part, the physical fitness part, I encourage everybody to do that on their own so we can focus strictly on hand-to-hand combat that we teach. So I teach two arts. I teach jujitsu, a Japanese mixture of different types of jujitsu. There's judo, aikido, and karate put into it so that we can spar a little bit and not hurt each other. Because you can't do jujitsu throws on another human being because they're designed to go against the joints, where judo is designed to go with the joints, and it involves safe grappling and submission holds. Aikido gives you projection throws, so you could throw someone and they could roll out of it, and it allows you to train safely. And karate, you could spar, kick, punch, and keep your distance, and do light tapping. Those three things are all in jujitsu, but the jujitsu goes kind of against their grain. Like in a judo, if you go to do an arm, what do you call it? One arm shoulder throw, ippon seonagi, you go with the elbow. In jujitsu, you reverse it and break the arm as you throw. Aikido, as you do a riminagi, is you like the clothesline, where you come up underneath someone's chin and you push on their opposite shoulder or their back, and they fall down. Like when Steven Seagal does the clothesline in the movies. Jiu-jitsu, we do it different. We snap the neck so they're dead before they hit the ground. And for the karate, we concentrate on our strikes. We call it temijitsu, where we strike different parts of the anatomy to cause certain things that you want to accomplish. We either want to disrupt an internal organ, kill an internal organ, break a bone, take somebody's balance. So our reasoning is different in the martial arts. So I look for somebody when they come to me, if they're looking for a sport, there's nothing wrong with sport martial art. I send them to a sports school. If they're looking for self-defense, we could teach them self-defense. The difference between self-defense and the combat we do is we don't wait. Self-defense, the person attacks you, you defend yourself. Hand-to-hand combat, you don't wait. You go right after them. You know you're in danger. Now, when people go looking for a martial arts school, this is my opinion, you don't have to go with it or not, but when you go looking for a martial arts school, you should first figure out what you want. You want to do it as a sport, you want to do it as a family event, doing it with your kids or your brothers or sisters or whatever, your parents, or you're doing it, whatever, and you want it to be more like a family event. You can do both. You can do self-defense and the family event. But you go in, you talk to the instructor, ask them if you can first watch a couple of classes to see if that's something that you can picture yourself doing. If there's something there that you're uncomfortable with, you should talk to the instructor before you walk out the door. You don't just walk out the door, because you could be watching advanced students train and you're thinking you're going to do that right away, and you're not. You're going to be taught things to be safe, so when you get to advanced training, you can do that. But you have to talk it out with the martial art instructor running the dojo. Now, if you go in and the dojo is a mess, and there's dirt on the floor, and everything is broken, I'd be careful, because they don't give a shit about their school. Then obviously they're lacking. So you want to make sure the place is clean. You want to make sure the students are happy. They're like they want to be there. If you got people, you're watching their class and you see a lot of the students keep looking up at the clock, like they can't wait to get out of there, and the instruction is not being explained right, that's kind of like a flag. Another thing is, are they teaching you the science and the physics behind all the techniques, showing you how, why, where, and when anything would work, and then allowing you to ask questions, are they teaching weapons defense, weapons use? This is all part of it. Are they teaching body language? Are you learning to read body language? Facial expressions? Are you learning to read behavior, profiling behavior? You're learning that. How to know if someone's going to come up and actually punch you in the face, or if they're just talking. Now, not all places teach that, but a lot do. A lot do teach you that.
You're correct on that. There's a lot of places that teach that type of element, and there's other places that don't, because they've never been taught, number one, or they've never experienced it, so they don't care about it. And like I agree everything what you're saying. you have to be very careful of where you're going to look for a school and how you're going to look for a school. Most people, most kids, they're placed in these martial art daycare, playground, play karate, MacDojos, what they call them, and they're all over the place. And
Yeah.
parents think that's what martial arts is. So an adult goes and sees a kid with, I went to a class the other day to drop off some posters for the event that we had and some invitations for them. When I walked in, all the kids were in the ground coloring, and I said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, they're coloring before they start kicking, and then every so often we put them back to color on a coloring book." I'm like, and I said, okay, whatever. I'm not going to make fun of what you're teaching, but I'm not going to go take my kid to go learn how to fight, because that's basically what you're taking them to go do.
Yeah.
Learn how to fight. Let's be real. You don't go to a martial arts school to find yourself and be in spirituality. You go in there to learn how to fight and protect yourself. And people that think otherwise, I think they're just full of shit, and there's something wrong with them. And now it's kind of like that degradation of coloring books before learning how to kick a bag or kick a shield. An adult goes in there and they think all martial arts schools are that way. No, they're not. So number one, if you're an adult, if you're a young adult, if you're in college, look for something that has your age group or an age
Yeah.
group just a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
Don't go into a school that has a bunch of kids running around, because you're not going to be in a kid's class. And a lot of these schools don't teach adults. They'll have adults inside their little teens class or something like that. It's a different story. Every age group has a different maturity level and learning capacity, and as well as what type of technique should be taught. And people do not understand that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Age appropriate. You want to try to keep like the younger kids, you got to play games with them. I don't teach kids. If I
Yeah,
do teach kids, it's by private lessons, but I think I'm getting away from that because a lot of the people that brought their kids in for me to train them, I tell them in the beginning, the way I do this, I only do kids privately, is when you come in, I train the kid with parent involvement. That means the parent has to be there the whole time I'm working with the kid. I don't care what age. They have to be there. They have to get on the mat,
absolutely.
and I teach the parent how to do the drill and how to hold the pads properly for their kids so the kid doesn't hurt themselves hitting the pad. The parent has to know how to utilize the drills properly. Then when you go home, because they come either once a week for a private or once every other week, they used to. I don't do it anymore. But when they go home, it's up to the parent to pick the days and tell the kid, you're going to train for an hour or a half hour, whatever, 2 or 3 days a week at a certain time every day. And then the kid, when they come back for the next lesson, I'll see that they've been training just by that they remember the drill, they're coordinated with the drill. But if they come back and they don't remember the drill and you got to teach them the same thing over and over, they're wasting the parents' money and they're wasting my time. Yeah, I charge for what I teach because it's my job. It's not doing it for fun, although I love doing what I'm doing, but it's my job. I get paid for this. So I like to do a good job. If the kid isn't progressing, I don't want to work with the kid. Now, what happens is a lot of the parents, why I don't teach kids anymore, come to me and they say, "Well, I'm pulling my kid out because they lost interest." And the reason they would do that is because the parent doesn't make time to make the kid. It takes about 2 to 3 months for the kid to form the habit that they're going to train 3 days a week at home for a half hour
Absolutely.
on every time at the same time for a half hour. It's like you're training a dog. Hit the bell and then feed the dog. You hit the bell, you feed the dog. Over a couple of weeks, you hit the bell. If you don't feed the dog, it starts the drooling and it is expecting to get food. Well, the kids got to do that with the kids. So I said, I'm done with the kids. Unless I get somebody that's really serious and the parent's serious and the kid is serious. and they're actually going to make their kid train at home, then I might take on a kid. But kids' minds are not developed to the point where you can put them in an adult class because
No, they're
they're going
not.
to want to run around. Adults are patient, they're analytical, they like to hear things, they like to see things, they like to try things, and they like to do it slowly until their coordination builds up and their understanding builds up. But you got a kid running around, it takes away their focus and it aggravates the adults. And the kid's not learning, now the adult's not learning. So I teach the kids privately. I don't have a kids class. I tried that and what a disaster. I just didn't care. The adults, I prefer to train older people, people in their maybe late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Those are the people I like training because all that what if I do this or what if the guy does that? You know, they're more interested in learning about their body. They're learning about how things work and they don't mind taking their time. Now, if you get young people, teenagers and people in their 20s and early 30s, they're into the fight. They want to wrestle and grapple and trade punches and sweat. And that's nice, but jujitsu is the art of killing. It's the art of bone breaking, joint ripping apart. It's brutal. People see Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that's more of a sport. That's also good. I'm not saying anything negative about it, but it is what it is. It's a sport. Yeah, it'll work in the street one on one, but when you go to the pavement, you're going to scrape up your arms, your legs, and everything. We also do the Filipino martial arts, which is Arnis, which comes from the northern part of the Philippines, and we're dealing with sticks, swords, knives, flexible weapons, and then we go into the empty hand after you learn all that because now you know how they travel and move. Now when it comes time to make a defense against the knife or a machete or a baseball bat or a crowbar, you have an understanding of angles and distance and timing, and you got your moving down. Your chances of surviving against a person crazy in the street armed with something like that, your chances of survival going way up. But
You know, you said a lot of good stuff that I'm going to interject there because you said a lot of good stuff, and I'm not going against it or whatnot. But you know, you said jujitsu. Jujitsu, it's an art. It's a bone breaking art. It's true. Just like what Savate Dancerou is. Dancerou Savate is a combative art for the street.
right.
Now, boxe française is a sport just like boxing in the ring. You know, it's
Yep.
the sporting aspect of it. Do you train in both? Yes, you train in both because you're building attributes, correct? But I'm not going in nor here or there. But when people go to a martial art, they have to see what they want. A lot
Yes.
of martial arts, like you said, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu is good, but you go to the street and there's asphalt, there's stuff there. You and I know that the streets are brutal, the streets are cruel, and you always have a third party assailant. You go to the street, you take the buddy down, and his buddy comes up and kicks you in the head.
Yeah.
Like it happens all the time, and there's video after video of this stuff going. Oh, they'll stick you with a knife. Like that happened to that one jiu-jitsu guy from Mexico that took the guy down to the ground, and his buddy came up and stuck a knife in his back.
Yeah.
Uh, you have to realize that certain arts, even though you can defend yourself in the street, they were meant for a different type of attacker, in a different type of format, in a different time frame. If I'm in the ring, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu was made basically for that type of thing, that you're going one on one against somebody in the ring. Beautiful. The street's a total different entity. A
Yeah.
street, you have to be on your feet. You have to be able to hit solid. You have to be able to move. You have to be able to kick, punch. You have to be able to analyze the whole situation. I'm not saying you're not going to go down to the ground, but if it goes into a melee, and I know that you've protected people inside some rough places, just like I have. You have to be able to take care of business, and it takes a different type of training. Now, granted, I'm not expecting all my students to become um, security specialists, not, but if they do go into those fields, they have the backbone to do it. They have the knowledge to go into that. Somebody told me the other day, and they asked me, and he goes, "Why do you train the way you train?" Because that's the way I was trained. There's no if, buts, or. This is the way I was trained. This is the way I was, and when somebody says, "What's the difference between you training here and training somebody to compete?" It's a lot worse because when you're training to compete, believe me, you're going to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You're going to
Yeah.
be here at 6 o'clock, and you're going to train till 7:30, and you're going to be doing a heavy load, and you're going to go home, and then you're probably going to go to work and everything else, very tired. And when you get off of work at night, you're going to come to class to learn combinations. And guess what? The next day in the morning, you're going to come back and you're going to start doing it again. So training for the ring is a total different entity.
Yeah.
And people do not understand it. They think that they go and they do a kickbox class at the YMCA or Zumba aerobic kickboxing, or whatever they call it now, CrossFit kickboxing, whatever the names that they have, the new names that are out there. And guess what occurs? It's not the same thing.
I got a funny story. My wife trained under a good friend of mine, Stu Randall, and he's a professional boxing coach.
Right.
And he also is certified to teach kendo by the Japanese Kendo Federation, and he
Sure.
studied harness with me. And he's a tough man. He's a tough guy. He's a nice guy. He kind of looks like Clint Eastwood. He's got that. He walks in a room and all the women turn their heads, right? So he taught her boxing. So my wife, so then he moved away. So she was doing jujitsu and honest with us. And then she says, "Well, I want to get in shape." So she went to one of these kickboxing gyms, but it's not real kickboxing. It's aerobic kickboxing. And she goes in, and after two classes, she quit. And I said, "I thought you wanted to get in shape." She goes, "They're not boxing. They're not throwing a hook right. They're not doing the combos. When they hit the bag, they're just doing this. They're not doing the proper body movement and stuff." And she says it was driving me nuts. I couldn't do it. And I wanted to correct everybody, but they don't care. They're there with their ponytails jumping around and all their fancy uniforms. And she goes there to work. She thought it was going to be like a boxing gym, and it wasn't. And she told me that I was cracking up. But the person that is looking for a good dojo has to be willing to invest their time. They got to discipline themselves to invest their time. So you come out of work, you got to go to night. Your dojo's open at night, so you got to go take a class at night. Or you can't go at night because you work nights, so you got to go in the morning. You got to condition yourself to do that. You go to work, you go to the dojo and you're exhausted, and they're like, "Well, I'm too tired, I'm not going to go." That's when you should go because you can come out of work too tired and be attacked. So when you go to the dojo, once you start training, you'll wake up a little bit. And what you're doing is you're programming yourself to go into combat mode. It's like a switch. You go to the dojo, you're tired, you got your gi or your workout uniform, whatever it is you're going to do. You change, you come out, you're tired, you're yawning, you're exhausted. Tell the instructor that, that's the way you're going to be because you work hard and you're exhausted. And I guarantee once you stop moving your blood, you'll wake up and then you'll leave feeling good. You can get attacked in the street when you're tired. And if you're used to training that way, as soon as you're tired, you'll snap out of it and you'll become wide awake because you're not training, you're conditioning yourself to do that. And that's why a lot of people, "Oh, I'm too tired to go to the dojo." No, go. And if you're tired all the time, whether you go to work or not, there's something wrong with your diet. You got to change your diet. You got to get with
Absolutely.
someone that's a biochemist, that knows what the food does to the body. And everybody's blood type is different. So what some people eat a lot of meat, that gives them energy. Other people might get more energy on vegetables and fruits. They may need more fruits in their diet. So your diet has a lot to do with your martial arts and your mood too. So it's just when you're looking for a dojo, try to find someone that can help you a little bit with a diet, teach you anatomy, talk about the science, and explain the laws of physics, simple physics, of everything that you're utilizing there. So when you get into a fight, if something's not working, you'll know why it's not working, and you'll be able to make the immediate change that'll save your life.
You know, and I'm not here telling people that you do martial arts because you're going to go get in a fight. I don't want anybody to go out there and get in a fight.
Yeah.
You know, but fighting is what you're going in there to learn.
Yeah.
And it's number one. And that should be your number one understanding, that if you're going to go to a martial arts school, you're going to go to a martial arts school to do what? To learn how to defend yourself, learn how to fight. I got a story with boxing. You know, I have one of my students. She became the first silver glove woman in the United States, in the history of the United States, years ago. And she called me the other day and she goes, you know what? I went to they're giving this training at the gym, and I started training in there and learning in there, and the guy was throwing hooks and punches, and I started hitting the bag, throwing hooks and punches, and I said, well, that class is pretty good. So people were coming up to me and asking me how do I know how to throw punches, and I said, well, you know, I did this much for this over there, and he goes, no, that's not the way you do it. You do it like this, and he goes, yeah, but you're open. He goes, what do you mean I'm open? Why'd you do it? And she nailed him.
Yeah.
You're open.
Yeah.
And the guy got real upset and told her, oh, you know, don't teach other people, because this is not a protective class. This is just a fitness class. Well, and I started laughing. She had a long conversation with me, and she goes, are you going to continue going to classes? No, I'm going to start coming back with you. And I go, well, the classes are Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays from 7:30 to 8:30. You're more than welcome. You know, you're part of the family. And what I'm getting at is, there's a lot of people that are teaching martial arts out there, folks. There's a lot, and it's beautiful. We want to see that. We want to see this community grow. But there's a lot of people out there that are teaching boxing that couldn't box a pizza, and they couldn't. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't box a pizza.
Yeah. I've had them come to my dojo too.
And they're out there teaching. They're teaching self-defense, and you all do this, and this is the way you do it, because this is what. They've never been, and I'm from Laredo, you know the way Laredo is. You've been here sometimes, and some of these guys you went to school with, and their sisters. You know, I hate you. There's a saying: their sisters were the ones that protected them in the playground. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And now they're teaching somebody how to throw a punch. And wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? Only because of what happened. You know, you cannot teach what you haven't lived. And if you did not live through a good instructor, you're not going to teach good elements to others. So if you went to a school and you became an instructor under that school, you're going to mirror what that school taught you. You're just going to go down the line. That's what schools are. Those are pedagogies. They don't change. Maybe the person gets a little bit better because he starts studying a little bit more than his predecessor. But it betters the art. You know, the new trainings are developing in boxing that I didn't do, but now there's different trainings because you have new ideas that are coming of age, or you know what I'm saying? And that happens. That happens every so often. But every 10 years, the sport kind of changes because some trainer did something and everybody's going to follow that trainer. And those are key things to understand. But coming back to this, I say this, for you guys listening, go train, go look, understand the difference that there's arts for sport. There's combative sports like boxing, Savate, Thai boxing. Those are combative sports. MMA, those are sports that fight in the ring, and their thing is to knock out the other person. Those are combative sports. Then there's sports like taekwondo, point fighting, karate, judo, fencing, that they have a great discipline. They teach something good, but they're teaching an objective is to win under a certain rules. Okay. And then there's martial arts for self-defense, like your jiu-jitsu, like your kempos, there's Dentsu, Savate, kind of in the middle of everything in there. And then there's combative arts that teach you with a basically knife and something, because now you're in a situation of more of a martial impact of wouldn't say urban combatives, but more of a warring type of element, like your Arnices and your Sealots and some of the old sword play. Dancer Savate kind of falls in there, kind of has an element to everything in. And people need to understand that. Only because I go to a Taekwondo class and now they're because Kali's is or Eskrima is very popular. Now they're trying to do a form on that. It's not the same thing.
I've seen that. I've
You know
seen
what
that.
I'm saying?
Taekwondo schools doing trying to take the honest, the Kylie or the Screamer, whatever they're doing, and they're putting it into their forms with sticks, and it's not meant to be done that way.
yeah,
Um, but I mean,
but
if
you have
if
to
it makes
understand
them
what it's for.
happy, yeah, let them,
But people need to understand what it's for.
yeah,
And I tell this to parents: if your kid is getting bullied and getting picked on and getting into fights, stick them in a good boxing club, good Savate club, good judo club, good wrestling club, where he's going to learn correctly and he's going to learn discipline and respect. Because learning how to fight, you can learn how to fight in the street very, very easily. And guess what? If you end up going to prison, you're going to learn how to fight in prison as well.
oh yeah,
So people need to understand that that happens. So
yeah.
that's the way I look at it.
I people always I get people that they write me from all over the world. I'm not making that up. They do. I mean, from all countries, they're writing me because some people have been following my career since the 70s and the 80s because I was featured in over 50, 60 different types of martial art magazines. I did radio talk shows, I did TV talk shows because of my gym. I was taking kids off the street, teaching them how to eat, teaching them anatomy, getting them to read, which they didn't want to. But I said, if you want to get big muscles, you got to increase your knowledge. You got to learn to read. So I get people writing me from all over the world, and they're like, well, we don't have Ketsugo Jiu-Jitsu. We don't have Arnis. We don't have Kempo. We don't have these arts, in our neighborhood near us. What else can we do? I say, find a good boxing coach. Learn that first. Spend a year or two in boxing. Do a little sparring in the ring. Then move on to either judo or wrestling. I say judo because one throw on pavement can end a fight. But not just that, you're learning submission holds and grappling in the judo. Wrestling is great too because it builds your whole physical body. If you're in a foreign country and they do sambo, do that with boxing. Boxing's going to show you how to deliver punches and how to do footwork and things. And you need some sort of grappling art. Lastly, find a weapons art. If you can't find Honest, Kylie, or Screamer, get into some sort of fencing art that teaches you how to use a sword or something, like they have the Irish stick fighting in a lot of countries. Very effective. I see that used a lot. I like the Savate stick fighting. When I was up there with you, I couldn't remember the form. I wanted to, and I was so pissed off on the plane ride home. I didn't remember that form. It was amazing because it had a lot of stuff that you can use in harness. What you were teaching, some of it was I think could counter some of the Arnis. I said, wow, that's pretty good. So I saw genius in it. But I always tell people, boxing will teach you to throw hands. The only drawback to boxing for anybody that's going to use it for self-defense is what do boxers do? They wrap their hands, they tape it, then they put it in a padded glove and they punch people in the head. You do that in a street fight without your hands wrapped, you're going to break your hand. So,
You have to condition your hands.
yes,
And
you
people
do.
know that element. The reason they wrap your hands is because you're hitting hard
Yeah,
object with your
yeah,
head and stuff like that. So the wrapping of the hands actually for to protect the hand, not for anything else.
right.
But you do have to condition your hands, and that's something that boxers don't. I do this. I tell people if you're gonna fight, if you're gonna learn, you have to do rounds with regular black bag gloves without wrapping your hands, but bag gloves and hit the bag, and that's how you develop the muscles in your hand. That's why
Yeah.
you make the fists and stuff. And people don't do that. They wrap it up to go punch in the street. Nah, that's not what it is.
Well, what I do is I tell people if you're going to hit a bag without gloves or wraps, tap the bag very lightly so that your bone alignment will get used to it. Because
Yeah,
if you go all out without wraps right away, you could break your wrist, you could just hurt your
absolutely.
knuckles. Your bones, making microfractures in your bones over time will make them stronger. You don't want to overdo it. And you want to get your wrist used to the pressure, the compression of hitting something without it being wrapped. And the bones in your forearm will get stronger. Your elbow will get used to it. You could pop your elbow or your shoulder out of socket not knowing what you're doing. So when we teach people how to do a Temi, how to hit something, we do it without gloves. And I have them press against something that doesn't move. And if they feel a pain or they feel uncomfortable in a certain part of their anatomy, their bone alignment's off. So then I go over and I adjust their bones. I might move their elbow this way, their foot that way, turn their shoulder, their body this, and then they smile and they go, "It don't hurt," or "I don't feel the pressure. And this feels strong." I said, "That's how you got to hit somebody." So that takes time because you can't do it once and expect it to work all the time. You got to do that every day. You got to push against something every day and make those corrections and alterations.
Absolutely. I'm going to say something in there because you said a couple of great points. Folks, if you go to a school and the kickboxing school that they're teaching this or teaching Muay Thai or Savate or what have it, and you're told to put on the gloves because you're going to do light sparring the first week, walk out of that school.
Yeah.
You should not be doing that, not even the first week, first month, first 3 months, first 6 months. It takes a while before you have to build certain attributes before you can let go into sparring. And of course, sparring means a lot different in different arts, but you have to build yourself up because if you do not know how to block, you do not know how to escape, you do not know how to read the person and they throw it in there, you can get hurt or you can blow your leg. And that happens all the time. And it's unfortunate. Why? Because people went to a school that the instructor was very enthusiastic for teaching, but never did an apprenticeship to learn how to teach. And those things
Yeah.
happen, those occur. To become a teacher, you have to do an apprenticeship,
Yeah.
period. And if you don't do the apprenticeship and you just get a black belt, this is what happens. A lot of these MacDojos, a kid becomes a black belt at 14. Now he's 18. Now he's going to go out there and he's already a master teaching Thai boxing, teaching this, teaching whatever they want. By the time he's 24 years old, 25 years old, he's a grandmaster. You see it. And they're
Yeah.
teaching all kinds of nonsense. You've never been taught, you never did a apprenticeship. Apprenticeship takes time.
Yeah.
You have to go and in the ring and so on and so forth. It takes time. It's not done in 1 year, 3 years, maybe 5 years. That's just apprenticeship under somebody that's teaching you for that. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And people might have a different opinion, but reality is reality. And my brother, we're running out of time, but I'm going to thank you for continuing doing what you're doing. Keep on doing that. And folks, if you're in the Northeast, you can either call Grandmaster Freedman or myself. If you're looking for a school we can probably recommend somebody in some of the cities that are out there, or find somebody that knows of somebody in your area. And so reach out if you're looking for a good training call.
Oh, a good
Okay.
martial arts dojo to go to. And the thing is, I went to 2 Taekwondo schools. The first one I went to was a combat Taekwondo school. He taught the Rock Army, and it was in the 70s, and I loved it. And we weren't allowed to kick with the instep because they kick with the ball of their foot, not the instep, because you can break your ankle or your instep. The secondary school I went to was a sport Taekwondo school where Joe Rogan was. I spotted him a couple of times. It was back in the 70s, the late 70s. If I mentioned a few names, Joe Rogan would know exactly what time I was there. And he has a mean spinning back kick I wouldn't want to get hit with. He's a powerful dude. He's younger than me. I'm older than him. But the difference was one school taught you where you had to use certain parts of your anatomy a certain way to cause damage. and that was more combative. The other school, they wore pads on their feet and boxing gloves, not boxing gloves. They had those foam, I don't know what they're called, foam things. You'd wear a mouthpiece and a cup and you'd spar full contact, but it was sport. So you gotta, when you go looking for a dojo or whatever you want to call it, a boxing club or a martial art training place, make sure you talk to the instructor and tell them exactly what you want. Do you want to learn sport and you want to compete? That's healthy. You want to learn just for the art so you can practice something to keep you in shape by yourself, like a lot of kata. That's fine. But if you're looking for hand-to-hand combat, make sure that the guy that's teaching you isn't going to cripple you to prove that, oh, we got the best, and they're going to, hurt you. That he's confident in himself where he doesn't have to prove that by injuring you. So yeah, take your time, watch some classes, and don't watch one dojo. Go to a few schools. You may go to one school and not realize that's the place you want to go to. That's the style you want. And you don't know because you don't know what you're doing. But I'm available. I have a very small group. I don't take on everybody. That's not a marketing thing. It's a fact. I got maybe about 8 or 10 students here in Ware, New Hampshire right now. And I don't accept everybody. I take them out for breakfast or over coffee and we discuss what they want. And then from there, they'll tell me they either want privates or they want to come into the group. Everybody's welcome to watch and they're welcome to try it out for a few classes. I got nothing to hide. Yeah.
So that's the way I am.
Yeah.
I don't accept everybody. And I accept certain people that really want to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to, and I'll be the first person that will send them out to another school. I get calls from parents all the time. Right now, it's a fad. A lot of people are calling.
Yeah.
They want to put their 3-year-old, 4-year-old into training. I go, there's a nice school that babysits martial arts. It's on this street.
Yeah.
Go there because that's not the school here. Oh, but I want them to learn how to fight. I don't want a 3-year-old, 4-year-old to learn how to fight. Go for, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, there's an incident that happened somewhere here in Texas. Kid was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, first grade, choked out the other one. The other guys and their little kids in the hospital. So be careful with what you're training, how you're training them, because that's exactly what they're going to do.
I had a private student in Boston. His father was a court officer in the courts. And this kid was brilliant. He he signed himself up for summer school. He had A+ all the time. He was on the principal's honor roll or whatever, the principal's list. And everybody loved this kid, but he was a geek. Glasses, pens in his pocket. Brilliant kid. And his father said, he's getting bullied a lot and I want you to teach him. And we're going to do privates. And I said, well, are you okay with me teaching him what I'm going to teach him? And the father said, I want him to learn that. So I trained the kid from 9 years old till 12. I think, what's that, 3 years I trained the kid? And they went on in school, they went on, what do you call it? When you get on the bus and you take the kids out, they show them to a museum or whatever. And then you bring, what?
Field trip.
Field trip, yeah. So they go out on a field trip. They come back, they're getting off the bus, they're in front of the school, and the kids are getting off. This is in Boston somewhere. And a little girl gets off the bus, and there's a 16 and 17-year-old teenagers, two of them, and they try to take something from the little girl. So he's 12 years old, and he tells them, leave her alone. So they punched him in the face and knocked his glasses off and knocked him to the ground. He got up, went at them. He broke one kid's leg, broke the other kid's arm. Those kids weren't even part of that school. They were from another school, and they were playing hooky, and they had a long record of doing bad things. So when they got in court, one kid comes in with his arm in a cast with a bar holding against his waist. The other kid comes in a wheelchair with his leg in a cast. And then the judge looks at the record. He tells the kid, stand up. The kid stands up and he's short. And the two teenagers are bigger. And he goes, you did that to them? He goes, yep. And he goes, I know. And then he looks at their record. He looks at this kid's record. I know what happened. And he threw it out of court. And he told those kids, I hope you learned your lesson. He threw it out of court because I teach people what works, but it takes time. You're not going to learn it in a month. It might take you a year or two, but you will be effective. If you learn the system, you will be effective. But I thought that was funny, I got a kick out of that one.
Here's one for you. This is a true story. I was driving. I was in the morning, and I get a call about 11 o'clock from a father that his kid has been bullied. He needs to go to learn. He's going to school, pick him up. His kid needs to go learn martial arts and blah, blah, blah. And I told him, well, we have a kids class at this time. He goes, come over at 4:30 because the class starts at 5 and we can discuss. Tell him to bring some sweats and see if he likes the class. Well, he shows up, and that same day, I get another father calling me that his son was also bullied in school. And I told him the same thing. Come on over to the schools at 4:30, and we can discuss it. The class starts at 5. Well, the first father comes inside with his son. His son's 11 years old. The kid's 5'7", 11 years old. Imagine this. The father's huge. And I'm like, wow. What the hell do you feed this kid, And I said, they're bullying you? You know what I mean? And then the kid was kind of, and I go, okay, well, we're going to have class right there. And at the same time I'm talking to him, this other father comes in with a short little kid, and he goes, he's the one that's bullying me. And then the kid goes, nuh-uh. The little kid tells him, you picked the fight on me. And I go, the big guy was picking the fight on the little guy. They both called me because their kids were being bullied. And I said, and the father of the big kid took his kid out, and the other kid ended up staying with me for about 6 years, but it happens, people only because you're huge in size or, let me put it to you this way. Schoolyard tussles now are considered bullying elements.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a schoolyard tussle, a schoolyard playground fight is not being bullied. Bullying is a total different entity, but in today's society, that's what it is. Yeah. And if there's police officers or police department inside the school districts, regardless if your kid was doing self-defense or protecting himself, he's still going to be taken to juvie. They don't care. They're going to take both of them in there. That's just the way they do things. So kids in school nowadays do not have rights as per se, and that's a shame. Unfortunately, that's what we've been breeding, but that's a different story for another day. Brother, you stay safe, be safe, continue with what you're doing, folks. If you like this, like, share, comment, and start training. It's time for you guys to start training and get your girls in to start training, your wives in to start training, because things happen. There's a lot of weirdos out there. Until next
there are.
And until next time, much peace.
Thank you. Hang tight. Or hang loose. Either one.
Have you ever wondered about what happens in a martial arts studio? Well, you start right away by setting goals, building determination, gaining focus, building skills, all while becoming more fit, gaining confidence, and learning self-defense. Buitron Academy is a school where attitude meets aptitude. So give us a call at 956-401-4868.